Hi, I'm James Kotecki. You're here with me in the C-Space Influencer Studio at CES 2019, and here with us, JC Curleigh, CEO of Gibson. Thanks so much for coming in and stopping by.
Absolutely.
So I've heard of Gibson. I assume most people here have heard of Gibson.
Sure.
But how do you define Gibson?
Wow. I mean, if you look back, Gibson has been synonymous with shaping sound for over 100 years, 124 to be exact. And we've shaped sounds through generations, through genres, through even genders of who chooses to play and listen to. And if you think going back, and not just in that awesome rock and roll era, but even before that in jazz and leading into bluegrass and even in the mandolin era of the early 1900s, like you have this synonymous sound that Gibson has been connected to for 124 years. So you then associate Gibson with the craftsmanship and the sound and the quality, and probably of more importance, the experience that that sound created and the memories it creates for people through listening and experiencing music.
And the specific product line obviously is centered around guitars. Are there other kind of types of instruments that are in that mix as well?
Yeah, well, for Gibson brands, we own Gibson, we have Epiphone, we have other brands, but I mean, Gibson's clearly the main brand. But within that, we sort of look at, there's acoustic guitars, and there's electric guitars, and then there's different types of guitars for different sound situations, which over the years we've sort of figured out either through innovation or in some ways, honestly, through accident of how to discover sounds that actually then connect.
We were speaking before we jumped on camera here about the fact that you play guitar.
I do.
I was just thinking your office actually must be an amazing place to work. You must be hearing a lot of great music all the time. I assume a lot of people there probably play. Do you guys have like spontaneous jam sessions in the office?
We do actually, and there's lots of guitars around, and as you can imagine, and always music being played. But what's really exciting is when an artist shows up, and I was in my first week, and someone came in and said, "Hey, JC, sorry to bother you, but these guys just landed, and they insist on coming to see you immediately." I'm like, "Oh, do they have suits on? What, do I have to be nervous?" They said, "No, it's Cheap Trick." And I'm like, so Rick Nielsen comes in and just says, "Hey, man, welcome." And he's a guitar lover, owns tons of Gibsons. And then I'm looking forward to the moment where we can translate, a session like that and say, "Hey, you want to go and play a little bit?" And then we all of a sudden spontaneously jam with an extended group of artists and friends, famous and not so famous.
That's amazing. And you mentioned that you had your first week on the job. That was not too long ago. I think you joined the company officially in October.
I did, yeah,
of last year.
Yep.
So now that you're still kind of fresh on the job, what do you see at the company with fresh eyes? You come from Levi.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is which I thought would happen, but I didn't want to take it for granted. It's just the absolute love that everyone has for the Gibson brand. I mean, and not just those that work there and like get to craft the instruments or actually market the product or sell it or support it, but the industry at large. Even a few competitors reached out and said, "Hey, man, we need a strong Gibson. Good luck." And then artists were saying, "What can we do to help?" And so there's this. I think there's been this pent up sort of energy waiting to put itself through the Gibson lens, and then help create some music for the future. So that was the biggest thing, was just the absolute level of support that everyone has put into Gibson.
So we're here at CES, which is a tech show. It's a show that's all about screens and instant gratification. Where does a physical guitar, which frankly, depending on how good you are, can take a long time to learn and is kind of a craft over time, where does that fit into the modern era of 2017 and all the tech here at CES?
Well, I think it fits. I mean, one of the things, and my background coming into this was from Levi's, and we recognized in a world of fast fashion and novelty and sports style, like where did jeans fit? And we recognized that truly the center point of where Levi's fit, but also a pair of jeans, was in this notion of authenticity. And so I think there's a really translatable philosophical dynamic into music, which is it's authenticity. And I think guitar is very authentic. It evokes an experience. People have memories, and for every one person that actually plays a guitar, literally tens of millions or hundreds of millions have listened to music. So I think it plays a very, very visceral role in people's lives beyond the screen. But at the same time, if you look at on this side, the bright side, pun intended, of a screen, is it's done amazing things to help people learn quicker. Certain people learn by lessons. Think about when I grew up, you had a lesson, and whether you liked your instructor or not, it wasn't your choice. Your parents told you, and whether you wanted to play your song, you couldn't because your instructor said, "No, we're going to learn scales." And you're like, "I just want to learn what I like." Well, now my kids, I have 3 teenagers, they can go online, press the song they like, learn Adele, be playing it in 10 minutes, and by the end of dinner, my daughter's playing that song. And so I think the positive side is it really does connect in an instant way to learning and helps the learning curve. And the other side of it, I think if you look at that's the sort of innovation side of accelerating learning, but there's another side of just influencing. If you want information and you want it direct from an influencing source, i.e. not just from the brand, but from someone who can actually add credibility, there's an amazing amount of content on there that if you want to learn about your guitar or you're facing a choice between two brands or a specific guitar, there's so much intelligence online right now and through social media that you can stay connected. And then there's that third area of just inspiration of the creativity and what some of the different platforms are doing to actually try to drive the creative process, and you can learn, listen, apply creativity, and that comes off a screen too. So that's the positive side. And there's the other side of it.
So you alluded to the consumer purchasing journey. Buying a guitar seems like one of those things that you absolutely want to physically try it in your hands before you buy it. But is that really true? Is my intuition correct on that? And is technology changing that?
Well, I think it's like a lot of, if you think about, again, leaning into the Levi's dynamic, I mean, once you dialed in your fit, you could order online. You didn't have to maybe go in and try it. So I think dialing in your feel and your sound is really most important. There's so many amazing specialty retailers that can help connect that. There's information that can do that. You can go in and try it. Most guitar stores, they really want you to try the guitar to see if it's the right setup and listen. But at the same time, I think there is when you break down that, what I call the fan base, there are loyal fans to brands, and let's say Gibson, and they know exactly what they want and they've dialed in their sound. And so if they're looking for that elusive guitar, they tend to search the broadest place possible and then go find it in a visceral place at a guitar store. But it helps the search and the information in terms of online. But at the other end of that spectrum is someone who maybe needs that information and the confidence to know what's right for them, and then they can learn online. But the important thing is go in and try it. And what we find is that in the retail experience, or when you can actually play a guitar, you can learn what's the difference between $100, $200, $500, $1,000 guitar, sound, feel, learnability, playability, all those come into play.
Could virtual reality come into play? Is Gibson involved in any kind of software or experiences in a VR setting where I get something that doesn't really look like a guitar physically, but when I put on my goggles, now I'm feel like I'm playing the guitar and I'm learning that?
One of the learnings I've had in my previous life when I was running Solomon North America as the CEO and at Levi's and different things is I'm very conscious and borderline obsessed with this fine line between novelty and innovation. And I think true innovation offers simple solutions where there was once maybe a friction point or an unresolved dynamic that you can say, hey, as a result of our thinking and innovation, we're making something better for you. Novelty is something that was interesting, it lasted for a little moment, and then it moved on, and then someone says, what were they thinking? I never want to be in the what were those guys thinking. So I think something like virtual reality, imagine beyond just the guitar experience, imagine where, let's face it, today, most people when they sort of write music, they have to collaborate live, and there's an amazing experience in the creative process. How can virtual reality help that creative process where maybe you're in different countries or different parts of the world and you're virtual reality and you're actually communicating and playing, you have the visceral experience of playing, whether you're drums, keyboards, guitars, but you're connected through virtual reality that says you're actually involved with a live dynamic. That's where I would see it. Or I was with Lars from Metallica, and they're doing some amazing things with their fan base.
You get to name drop some pretty cool people in your
Yeah,
job,
you
by the
do,
way.
right?
Very legitimately, but it's very cool.
But for
You have a
real,
cool
I mean,
gig,
and he said to me, JC, my fan base is stronger than ever as a result of our ability to reach them through social media, through the Metallica experience, where you can actually be in the band. So I think it's as much for Gibson as a brand as it would be for like bands and artists to create an environment where fans can get as much energy from the band beyond just downloading a song or going to the concert. And we want to participate in that.
Let's talk about one final buzzword, artificial intelligence, which increasingly is able to write music or help people collaborate or fine-tune the music that people are writing. How do you see that integrating with the Gibson brand as it evolves over the next coming years?
I think I'm a big believer in sort of AI and data to sort of drive the dynamics, but I think at the same time, you still have to synthesize all that to an end result. And I think that I think that we have to treat AI and big data or just technical solutions as a means to the creative end, but not the end in itself. The ultimate experience, the most visceral experience in music is the live performance. And nothing, I don't think, in our lifetime will change that. If someone said, hey, the Festival of the Future is a screen delivered with AI, and I was there when Tupac showed up in his 3D image, and it was super cool, and it was like what they were able to do. So it's not a technology barrier. I think it's a human expectation that creativity happens with humans.
Yeah, and it's something about experiencing it with a group of other people, right?
Yeah.
Like it goes back to theater and religion and all those kind of things. It's that idea of a group dynamic focused on kind of a transcendent experience.
Yeah, but I think what it can do, imagine, so let's just use Coachella as an example. 100,000 people go to it, but millions want to participate in it. So what can AI and technology do to give people that feeling that they were there without actually being there? And that's where I think we all win, where we can expand the fan base way beyond just those that are there. And there's so many amazing platforms that are starting to do that today.
Well, thank you for physically being here.
Yeah.
Really appreciate it.
Yeah.
JC Curleigh,
Appreciate it.
CEO of Gibson. And thank you for watching wherever you are. I'm James Kotecki. This is the C-Space Influencer Studio at CES 2019. Keep it right here because more great conversations are just ahead.